I ain't never done. And then look like that, opened up everything. I started whooping and blowing on her mouth until I killed everybody up in here. And she came out. And that's the evening.
Okay. So the number one rule for pimping is having heart.
It's having heart.
If you got heart, you can play the game.
That's right.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. And the one thing that I remember in the book, the line said, if you're true to the game will be true to you. Okay. Now, I want to ask you, now this is a bit of a moral question. When I read this part in the book, I'll be honest with you, I was tipping this way and that way, thinking whether or not Wynn was a good guy, or had some moral character, or if he was just a straight up shyster. That episode was when you were so far down, you know, you've been standing by the barrels and stuff, and you were starving to death, going through the winter, and you decided to snatch a purse. Can you tell me a little bit about that episode and that experience?
Sitting by that window, you know, I miss my mother and my brother and sister, and maybe my father too, because later on in life, that was my mother and father's business, that fight. And else, you know, I was telling my son, I got a son, 40 years old, and I know he used to hate me probably when I harbored his mother. But now we can come on an equal basis because he knows these women, so they can go off sometimes. Like I realized later, my mother might have made my father walk. It might have wasn't all his fault. Now get back to the question.
Okay. The question I was asking you was, there was an episode, it's actually kind of funny, but you were I think
I
you
was thinking about my mother.
Okay.
Thinking about, I wanted to go back home. The guy had called me, you know, the day before my breakfast. He told me just lend me $100. But that wouldn't do anything for me. He said I should go home, get me a job, or love was still in the house between me and my father. And then come back and show these people what I was all about. I was clean when I left the house. I had money in my pocket, just a little change. But I wasn't looking like I was looking when I was sitting in that window. I felt sorry for myself because I didn't have enough money to buy me another bowl of beans. I needed some money to stay out there. I needed some money to eat. So the first thing, this is what these young boys doing in the street. The first thing I thought about is picking up first. I don't know no other way. I didn't have no hustle. I wasn't no contractor either. I didn't have no hustle. Education don't get you the money to walk around. So I said, the boys pick me up right away. You know, thinking for myself. I said, no, that's too dangerous. I'm going to do that. And other things, because I can run pretty fast. And I can box a little bit too. Someone snatched his purse, and then she get hard stuff, I can box a little bit, I knock out. That's what I thought. And this is the reason I snatched the purse. It's not that I wanted to, I had to do something. And then my mother always depended on me for a hard work. And I didn't have no money to give her. She thought I was working, but I wasn't.
That's one thing I noticed in the book. Through every chapter of the book, you always talk about sharing your money with your mother. You always skin your mother back first. You always gave her the money off the top, all the time.
Like I said in the book, my mother had one brother, but years ago, when she was small, he left and came to Chicago from Georgia. Her relatives, which was cousins, and one aunt raised her. And they used to talk about how she ate, you know, how she ate too much, or she didn't do as much time. I figured that she was in the world by herself. And I was the only one there for her. But I love my mother.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the reason. And that's the reason that I did everything for her. My father wasn't playing his hand. He wasn't playing his father. I was trying to play for both of us. I want her to know she had somebody else.
Yeah. So you're telling me right now that you are a pimp that was in the game, you're 75 years old, you had heart to play the game, it took heart to play the game, but you have a heart.
Sure, I have a heart.
You have a heart. Absolutely. Now I got one other question to ask.
Come on, guys.
What
Come on,
is
guys. Come on. Seven.
that
Come on.
crazy
Come on.
thing
Come
you do with the dice?
on.
Damn, nigga done made the point.
Top of the five.
Becoming a virtuoso. I was trying to figure out how you did that. I read it over 2 or 3 times about how you would shift the dice and change the dice. But how did you do that one thing where you kept talking about how you put the dice down and it would spin up? It made me spin, that's it. Tell me about it.
6 on top of the 5.
6 on top of the 5.
And you sling it out like it was 10 on top before your hand up. But the lady told me, honestly, I'm going to a lady today. And one of these days I introduced you to her. She owns 2 or 3 buildings. She's going to give me a job. We was talking yesterday. And me and a man that owns about 25 buildings, his name is Paul Long. He's the owner that plays on 87 and 2 that sell party goods to lounge and things. Anyway, he was talking about gambling on the boat. And she said, oh, he practices every day on the bed. I said, what you practice on the boat? She said, casinos. So I say, have you ever did the David scene? She said, oh no, he don't know what about. She said, but I do. I said, you do, what is it? She said it's 6 on top of the 5. I know she was God. Yesterday.
Yesterday, okay.
Yesterday, you put that 6 on top of the 5.
Okay.
Slang it like you do a shot.
Okay. So, the essence of, if we look at the whole arc of your life, if we look at the essence of what it is, a lot of, we all come into life from different places and we're all dealt a hand. But would you say that pimping is really learning how to play the hand that life has dealt you?
And pimping, of course,